Nöjda med första dagen? Really big honor and pleasure to have Alan Wilder here to host the world premiere of his new and Recoils new concert movie, Strange Hour in Budapest. And wouldn't have been possible without Frederick up there. And fantastic that Bio Roy could redecorate the whole venue for us in Budapest design. So a big hand to Bio Roy as well.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
World premiere sounds a bit fancy, doesn't it? But I guess it is, because this is the very first screening we were able to do, and I think we've got about between 8 and 10 lined up at the moment. A couple still to be confirmed, but this is the very first one, so really excited. I was lucky enough to be in here yesterday to do a quick audio-visual check, and was pretty pleased with how it looks. And hopefully it's going to sound all right here too. So I'm not going to go on for ages. I'll just tell you that it's not rocket science, it's a concert film, as you know. So the only thing about our presentation, for anyone who did manage to see the shows which took place in 2010 and 11, you'll know that, of course, it was much more of a presentation than a band with laptops, some pre-prepared music, some live elements, and then a lot of film. So, of course, what we get when we film it is a film of a film. And so, for me, it works nicely on that kind of layered level. And actually, it wasn't really, it was more of an accident that the whole thing came together. When I arrived for this particular show, it was the last of a leg, and we actually, coincidentally, had arranged to have an even larger screen for that show, better projector. And luckily, as it would happen, as I arrived, a whole team of filmmakers also arrived, which I didn't really know about at all. And they just introduced themselves, the director introduced himself, Attila, and just said, look, I've got 7 cameras, 7 men, and we want to film your show. We'll do everything for free. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. What do you think? And I said, well, I'm not going to argue with that. So it was very much a mutually beneficial idea where they could hopefully promote their production company at the same time I'd get a film made. And really, I guess in this day and age, that's how things tend to work. You know, anyone who plays music here or is involved in making music or trying to sell an act or whatever, we all know how difficult it is these days to get funding for anything. And of course, I couldn't get any funding for this at all. But I was very, very lucky that so many people were willing to help, ranging from the filmmakers themselves through to the Hungarian guys that also did artwork, a different set of people, did all the artwork, packaging. So the costs were quite low, and which meant we were able to do it. So I'm very thankful for that. So that's really all I've got to say. If anyone wants to fire a few questions before we start, I can answer a few things now, but we'll get on with it in a moment. So if anyone wants to ask me anything, please fire away. No? Okay, thanks. Anyone at all? Yes, sir.
Why did you choose Gothenburg for the world premiere?
I think it's just the way the dates worked out. And in fact, there was, because, as many of you must be aware, the electronic festival that's going on this weekend, it made a lot of sense to try and fit it in with that. Because we knew that a lot of fans would want to maybe do the two things. And I spoke to Frederick about it, and he said yes, and Sebastian, and we kind of worked out that this would be the best date. And we need a little bit of time, because the actual retail release of this, I think, is this week sometime. September the 3rd or the 6th, I can't remember. So we're kind of tying in with that, and you know, we're promoting the event over the next 2 months with the screenings. Anyone else? Yes?
Listening to the Recoil music from the past, I've been thinking about, would it be good for you to do a full soundtrack
Yeah.
at any point, at some point?
Yeah. Well, people have asked me this recently, you know, what's Recoil going to do next? Are you going to make another album? And given what I was just saying about the state of the industry and how difficult it is to sell CDs across the board these days, you know, the format, as we all know, is pretty much dying. People want to download music for free. They don't really want to pay for art. I mean, people are interested in special editions, and some of us still like tangible products, you know. But the vast majority of people kind of have a different outlook to how much they want to buy music and in what format they want it. So the long and short of that is, for any artist these days, I think it's quite difficult to make money making records. So you have to try and think outside the box. What can you do that might be a bit more lucrative financially? And I think the options for you are, you go on the road a lot and play live, which doesn't necessarily suit me that well. I mean, we were able to do what you're about to see, but this was almost like a one-off event. It's the first time I'd ever toured, and it's, as I said, more of a presentation than a live performance. So for me to continually tour is quite difficult to do, and you know, putting a band together is not something I really am interested in. So that doesn't leave me too many options to make money from what I do. So I guess the one way I could go is, to answer your question, maybe to look more at film, see if I can get commissioned to make a proper soundtrack for a decent film. Or perhaps make the music first and then trying to sell it to a filmmaker or something. You know, some sort of idea along those lines is what I'm thinking about next, maybe. But it's all very vague, I'm afraid. I don't have a definite answer. But yeah, of course I would be interested, because I think my music does suit film, you know. It's quite clearly geared that way.
We look forward to it.
Thank you. Yes?
I think I read somewhere that you not just find inspiration in other electronic bands, but also that you listen to like Pink Floyd from the 70s.
Yes, yeah.
On the track Hallelujah, I think there's a rhythm track in there that sounds quite a lot like other 70s music, like
Yes.
Tangerine Dream.
Yes.
Is that another band that you've been?
Yes, I like Tangerine Dream. I like a lot of those 70s sort of krautrock rock, early synthesizer pioneers, I guess you would say. Can, Daff, Kraftwerk, of course, Tangerine Dream. And I guess my music taste spans all sorts of things. It's not just what you might imagine, you know, electronic music from the 80s or whatever. It's, I mean, I grew up in the 70s. I have a very soft spot for 70s music, because that was the music that I grew up with when I was a teenager. So those years are always going to be special, and I was interested in glam rock. I liked blues music, you know, which led me to discover blues music and where the origins of rock music really are. And I enjoy any music that has sort of has time to breathe, and you know, ranging from someone like Pink Floyd or progressive rock through to more avant-garde music like your Steve Reich and Philip Glass of this world. And so really, I just try and keep an open mind about all music and try and take what's good from those genres, you know.
I think the combination of electronic and blues, that's a really good combination.
Yeah, I think so. For me, it's important that music has an organic quality about it. You know, that's why I'm very interested in using samples and loops of real performance, but then it's put together and using all the technology we have these days. So you end up with something that's a mixture of inherent human feel, but also encompasses electronics and modern techniques, giving you an end result which you can't really imagine a band ever playing. You know, it'd be very difficult to play it as such, but it has the organic flavour in there. You know? Yes?
Talking about music, honestly, do you ever pick up a Depeche Mode record or listen to it?
Not that often, because I'm quite familiar with them anyway. There's no getting away from them. But there's obviously some of the music I enjoy and would listen to, and if I hear a good mode track come on, I can appreciate it, you know, especially if it's from a period I particularly like or an album I particularly like. But I wouldn't go out of my way to put one on. No, I mean you don't. I mean I wouldn't play my own records either. Recoil, I mean, not unless I have to. I probably won't watch the film either. Although actually, I'm curious to see it on such a nice screen. Yeah.
Why did you decide to sell off your Depeche Mode collection?
Well, it was more of a necessity than a decision. I had to make some, you know, decisions really about how to generate some income, and that was an obvious way for me. And more to do with personal situation in my life, you know, I just needed to generate some income. But having said that, it wasn't, even though there's obviously some emotional attachment to those things, I also enjoyed the process and found it quite cathartic, and it was the one opportunity I got to really go through my collection and actually engage with it, which I probably would never have done. You know, would have sat in my attic until the day I die, and I would have never looked at it again, probably. So it worked out okay, and I've still got quite a lot of stuff left over as well. Too much stuff. Frederick's got he's the man with the real collection. I guess some of you must have seen it yesterday. Yeah, quite impressive. Anyway, I won't take any more questions now, because I'm going to do a bit more of this later on for anyone who wants to come along. I'll be down at the brew house afterwards from about 4:30, is that right, or a bit later? Around 4:30, so if anyone wants to ask any more. But I'll shut up now and you can watch this. So, I really hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much.